Let's take a listen. Recently, I had the chance to speak with terrorism expert Richard Clarke. We'll play that interview for you now. Richard Clarke is the author of Cyber War, The Next Threat to National Security and What to Do About It. I have the book and I'm holding it up here. Thank you so much for joining us today, and we'll talk about the book. But first, you're most well known to me, up until I read this book, as the guy whose memo about upcoming attacks just before 9/11 was ignored by Condi Rice. How do you feel today, kind of in retrospect, about how that went?
Well, not very well. I regret a lot what happened during that time frame, and frankly, there were some mistakes made in the Clinton administration as well. But the real problems were in the Bush administration. They wasted the first 9 months of the administration when it came to dealing with the threat from Al-Qaeda. And then, of course, after 9/11, they made it worse by invading Iraq and really exacerbating the terrorist problem by giving a lot of people a reason to hate the United States and to join Al-Qaeda.
Did you feel uncomfortable day to day leading up to your resignation in 2003 with the fact that you had kind of come out and pointedly said, my memo was ignored, this wasn't completely unforeseen? I mean, was it day to day? Was it just not a nice situation for you?
Yeah, absolutely. And the Bush administration was not a great place for anybody to work. And an awful lot of the professionals in national security quit during the first few years of the Bush administration. People like Rand Beers, who's now the Undersecretary of Homeland Security, had been in the government for 25 years, quit rather than be in an administration that was invading Iraq.
When you think back now to 9/11 and that whole period, is your feeling that 9/11 could have been prevented, but not in a hypothetical world, if we had done so many different things intelligence-wise, but just if we had paid more attention to the intelligence we did have, right? Not just saying if everything was different. With what we had, if we had just paid a little more attention.
Well, I think there are two levels to that question. One, could you have prevented Al-Qaeda from being able to mount a major attack at some point? Probably, but then you would have had to really have begun the process a lot earlier. Could you have stopped a specific attack? Yeah, we could have stopped a specific attack if the information that was resident throughout the U.S. government were fused together. If CIA hadn't sat on information for months.
And there's plenty of evidence that they were doing that.
Well, I think the 9/11 Commission is the authoritative source on that, and it certainly comes to that conclusion.
We actually recently spoke with former Minnesota Governor Jesse Ventura about that 9/11 Commission report. Now, he believes that there was a conspiracy involving the Bush administration to either, allow 9/11 to happen or even were somehow complicit in it. He says his problem with the 9/11 report is there's only one page dedicated to how did these buildings pulverize. I don't subscribe to his particular views, but what's your biggest concern with that 9/11 report?
Well, certainly none of those things. I think if the former Governor Ventura believes those things, he probably believes in that flying saucers are landing on the mall in Washington, too.
Well, I think he does.
I don't doubt he does. No, I think the 9/11 Commission was a very good and very professional piece of work. We can quibble with passages here or there, but I think the overall finding of the Commission and their recommendations were very solid.
Do you believe that there's Republicans and Democrats, it's become a very partisan issue now talking about, are we safer now than when you wrote that memo in August of 2001? Do you believe that things have changed and we are safer now? And it sounds like such a cliche question, but I can't think of a better person to ask it of than you.
Well, some things have definitely improved and some things have not. I think in the last 18 months or so, we've made a lot of progress in going after Al-Qaeda. Al-Qaeda had moved into Pakistan, and the Bush administration didn't do much about that, and did a little toward the end in the last year of the administration. But Obama's really stepped up the pressure with cross-border bombing using the Predator drones at a very high rate. And they've really destroyed a lot of the Al-Qaeda leadership, and they've got Al-Qaeda on the run. Now, that doesn't mean they're still not capable of doing attacks, but I would say Al-Qaeda is probably weaker now than it's ever been.
Midweek Politics is brought to you in part by Jackson & Connor, classically modern men's apparel in Northampton, Massachusetts on the second floor of Thorne's Marketplace, and by DIF Design, specializing in custom business websites at difdesign.com. To find out more about underwriting Midweek Politics, visit midweekpolitics.com.